So, students, here we are going to start with this new chapter, that is radioactivity. It's an extremely important chapter from exam point of view, because usually the last question in section 2, okay, so it's usually like around 8 to 10 marks. One complete question in section 2 is on radioactivity, and also in section 1, if you see the last full question or the last two questions, usually for 4 marks, is also from radioactivity. So roughly it has been coming invariably between 10 to 14 marks every year in the boards, and it's a very important chapter because it is more of subjective. There is very little application in this, and there are, we can say, like, there are as good as there is no numericals in this chapter. Okay, and this chapter is also otherwise called as modern physics, a part of modern physics. So guys, all those who are good at chemistry, they will also have an advantage in this chapter. And those who are good at chemistry, they will have an added advantage in this chapter, because there is a little more of chemistry in this chapter. Okay, so guys, see, like, as we know, to represent any element, say for example there is an element X, so say there is an element X and A and Z. So A is what out here? A is the atomic mass number of an element, and Z is atomic number of an element. Now what do you mean by atomic mass? It is the number of protons and the neutrons together. What is atomic number? It is equal to the number of protons or equal to the number of electrons if it's an atom. Okay, now guys, so second thing, let's say for example, if you're given there is some element X, and say this is 32 and here you've got 17. So tell me, what will be the atomic mass here, atomic number here, number of neutrons, number of protons, and number of electrons. So the atomic mass here will be equal to how much? It will be equal to 32. Atomic number will be equal to what? 17. Number of neutrons will be equal to A minus Z, so that is 32 minus 17, which is equal to 15. Number of protons is equal to what? Number of electrons. They both are equal, right? But that will be equal to what? 17, and electrons will also be 17. So far they have never asked as such to define atomic mass or atomic number in a physics paper or this example, but it's there in your textbook, so you must learn it. Also guys, I'm not discussing about, they have given in this chapter though, but I'm not discussing that electrons are negatively charged and all that, protons are positive, neutrons are neutral, all that. Okay, now guys, second thing, you need to know that out of all these, if you know, like, electrons have got the least mass, whereas protons and neutrons have got the maximum mass. So also about the charge, as I said, proton is positively charged, so it's plus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb, whereas electrons are negatively charged, so the value is the same but the sign is a minus because it's a negatively charged, and neutrons have got no charge. Okay, now so now let's start with what do you mean by isotopes, guys. So what are isotopes now? So look here, isotopes means when there are atoms, okay, when there are atoms which has got the same atomic number but they have a different atomic mass. Okay, so these are the atoms of the same elements, since the atomic number is same. So those atoms which will have the same atomic number but they have a different atomic mass, they are called as what? Isotopes. For example, I'll give you an example. So there are many of them, they have got isotopes, like for example hydrogen, carbon, chlorine, tin, all of them. Now the example I'm considering right now example of hydrogen. So there are 3 isotopes of hydrogen. Now what are these 3 isotopes of hydrogen? So first one is H11, H12 and H13. So if you notice in all of them, look, the atomic, you can see that atomic number is the same. It's 1 here, it's 1 here, and it's 1 here also. But you look at the atomic mass, it keeps on increasing. 1, then it was 2, and then here it is 3. So because the atomic numbers are same, but they have a different atomic mass, and hence they are called as what? Isotopes. In fact, this, if you know, this is called as what? Protium. It's called as a protium. The second one is called as deuterium, and the third one is called as tritium. So they may ask you to write an example, and you must know these technical names also: protium, deuterium, and tritium. Okay, then so same way carbon has got 3 isotopes: C12, C13, and C14. Then there is chlorine also. And just remember, another example is tin 10. See, you must have, some of you might have read this Tintin comic. So here remember tin 10. This Tintin may help you in remembering this. That tin has got 10 number of isotopes. Okay. Now another thing, that the isotopes, now there are 2 types of isotopes now. So these isotopes are what, you know, I'll just write out here. There are 2 types of isotopes. There are 2 types of isotopes. There are some isotopes which are stable. So there are isotopes which are stable, and then there are some isotopes which are unstable, or they are also called as what? Radioisotopes. Okay, so we call them either radio or unstable isotopes. Now so basically, in stable isotopes, the number of neutrons is almost equal to the number of protons, you can say. Whereas in radioisotopes, number of neutrons will exceed the number of protons. So whenever the number of neutrons are more than the number of protons, then we say that they are radioactive isotopes. So they become highly unstable, and they are used in, there are different uses we'll be discussing at the end of this chapter. Okay, now next thing is about isobars. Now what do you mean by isobars? I don't know if you might have done this in chemistry also. So isobars, what are isobars now? So when 2 atoms, they have the same atomic mass, but they have a different atomic number. Different atomic number means what? They will exist in atoms of different elements basically. Okay, they will exist in atoms of different elements. So same atomic mass but different atomic number. For example of this is sodium and magnesium. Sodium and magnesium. So sodium is what? 2311. Magnesium is 2412. So now you notice over here that the atomic number of sodium is 11, whereas atomic number of magnesium is 12. So atomic numbers are different, but the atomic mass, by mistake I've written over here 24, so I'll just correct this myself. So this will become what, guys, out here 23. So the atomic mass are same for both, but the atomic numbers are different, and that's why they are called as what? Isobars. So isobars will exist in atoms of different elements, remember. Okay, there is one more example which is given in your textbook. So they've given example of carbon and nitrogen. So C and N. So for carbon it is C6 and C14. Okay, that's an isotope of carbon. And for nitrogen it will be 7, and this is what again? 14. Okay. So these are the examples of the isobars. Now another thing, guys, out here, in case of sodium and magnesium, see, if you've noticed over here, what are the number of neutrons here? 12. What are the number of neutrons out here? They are 11, right? I hope you remember how to find the number of neutrons. Now have you noticed some pattern over here? So if you realize, you see the number of neutrons and the number of protons, they are interchanged. So whenever the number of protons and neutrons are interchanged, then these isobars are also called as mirror isobars. Okay, I'll repeat once again. What are they called as? Mirror isobars. When the number of neutrons and protons get interchanged between the two atoms, then they are called as mirror isobars. Now the next one, the last type, is called as isotones. Isotones are very simple to understand. Isotones means what? Those atoms which will have the same number of neutrons. Means what? Basically the difference in A and Z is the same, then they are called as what? Isotones. Example of this is again what? Say sodium and magnesium. So sodium is what? 2311, correct? Magnesium is what now? 24 and 12. So if you find the number of neutrons out here, find the number of neutrons here. 23 minus 11, 12. Find the number of neutrons here. 24 minus 12, which is also what? 12. So number of neutrons are same in both the cases. When the number of neutrons are same, guys, then they are called as what? Isotones. Now you must be wondering that how over here magnesium was 2312, but then here I wrote 2412, because these are the isotopes of magnesium, that's why. Okay guys, now one very interesting thing, which was, actually it was put forward by one of my ex-student. 3-4 years back, this student had found this method to remember. So those who get confused, like some people may be getting confused what remains same in isotones and then isobars and isotopes. So how to remember that? So see, note guys this now very properly. Out here in isotones spelling, what do you have? This alphabet N. So because there is N in isotones, it means they have same number of neutrons, correct? In isobars, you have what alphabet out here? A. It means they have got what? Same number of same atomic mass. And in the previous one, isotopes, we have what alphabet out here? P. P means what? Same number of protons, that is same atomic number. So one of the actually creative way this boy had found out to remember how to remember this isotope, isobars and isotones. Okay. Now next thing, again this is very important from your exam point of view, board's point of view also. It has already come a few times in your school exams also, I mean in the board papers also. So what is this? That's about the chemical change and the nuclear change. So guys, first thing, remember radioactivity is basically all about the nuclear change. Okay, so it's very important that you know the basic difference between both of them, that is the chemical and the nuclear change. Now in chemical change, who takes part in the reaction? So it is the orbital electrons who takes part in the reaction. Whereas in nuclear reactions, who takes part in the reaction? It is the nucleons. And what do you mean by nucleons? So the neutrons and protons together, they are called as nucleons. Why? Because they are both present inside the nucleus, so they are called as nucleons. Second thing, that in a chemical change, in the nuclear change, in a chemical change, it needs a very small amount of energy. The amount of energy which is required or produced is very small, whereas here it will produce a very high amount of energy. The amount of energy produced is too high. Okay, so they can ask you about what are the differences between chemical change and nuclear change, or chemical reaction and nuclear reaction. Okay, then now next thing that we'll learn, guys, is about now we are actually starting the part of the chapter where there is radioactivity. Now what do you mean by radioactivity? So if you break up this word itself, radioactivity, okay, if you break up this word, you can make out what does it mean. So you all must have heard of these radioactive materials. Some of the most common are like uranium, is what most of the people usually know, but it's very widely used in nuclear power plants. Okay, so now what do you mean by radioactivity first? So it is basically the phenomenon in which spontaneous harmful emissions are given out. So all those harmful emissions which are given out, they are in the form of alpha, beta and gamma. Okay, and these radiations are given out by what? Radioactive substances. So I'll repeat once again. What are radioactive substances? These are the substances which will give out the spontaneous harmful emissions. Those are called as radioactive substances. For example, uranium, radium, plutonium, thorium, etc. Okay. Now, so what are radioactivity? It is a phenomenon in which these harmful emissions are given out. Okay. So the phenomenon in which these harmful emissions of alpha, beta and gamma are given out, they are called as, that is called as radioactivity. Now these radiations which are given out, all these alpha, beta and gamma, they are also called as Becquerel rays. Why Becquerel rays? Because they are named after the scientist Henry Becquerel, who found that these radiations are given out. So there is a story behind it, that that once in a dark room, he took a radioactive material, and it was wrapped in a photographic plate or in a paper. He wrapped it in a black paper and kept it on a photographic plate, and then he found that the photographic plate basically reacted to these radiations, and then he started studying about them, and he found that these radiations are alpha, beta and gamma. Now what are the radioactive material? So basically they say all those substances whose atomic number, all those elements whose atomic number is more than 82, they all are basically considered as what? Radioactive material. Why? Because you see that those elements which fall after atomic number of 82, there the number of neutrons are more than the number of protons. So all those material are what? They all are natural radioactive substance. Got it? So I'll repeat once again. Why are they all called as radioactive? Because the number of neutrons are exceeding, or they are more than the number of protons. Okay. Now, so if they ask you first what is radioactivity, it is a nuclear phenomenon in which spontaneous emissions of alpha or beta and gamma are given out from the nucleus of an atom, during their disintegration or during their decay. Okay. Second thing, remember that this is a random phenomenon. What do you mean it's a random phenomenon? Meaning whenever these radiations are given out, that time you cannot predict what radiation will be given out. That's why it's called as a random phenomenon. Meaning you cannot make out that what radiation will be given out, whether it will be an alpha or it will be a beta or it will be a gamma, what it could be. That's why they named it as what? Random phenomenon. Now, so let's guys, now we'll start discussing about alpha, beta and gamma. Now before we start all this, I just want to let you know first what do you mean by an alpha particle. So see, when you say an alpha particle, when we say an alpha particle, what do you mean by an alpha particle? What is alpha particle? Basically they have just named the nucleus of an helium atom. So see, for an helium atom there will be 2 protons and 2 neutrons. Around it there will be 2 electrons, right? In a helium atom, that is a helium atom. Now what is a alpha particle now? So the nucleus, I'll repeat once again guys, see, the nucleus of an helium atom is called as a alpha particle. Is it clear? So only what I have shaded, you can see out here, only that is a alpha particle, not the electrons outside along with it. So alpha is basically made up of what? It is made up of 2 protons and 2 neutrons. So those together make a alpha particle. Now because it is made up of 2 protons and 2 neutrons, what must be the charge of an alpha particle? Obviously plus, meaning you can say like doubly positive. Clear? So alpha is mainly the nucleus of an helium atom. Now what about an electron? What about a beta particle? So a beta particle now, it's basically an electron. It's simply an electron. Okay. Electron is negatively charged, so I'll write minus and 1 out here. So beta particle is basically an electron. Now one more very interesting thing, that this electron is given out from the nucleus of an atom. Remember, see, this might confuse you at the moment, but I'll clear your doubt in some time. So I'll repeat once again. The Beta particle is basically an electron which is emitted from the nucleus of an atom. So you must be wondering now, how does a nucleus give out an electron when there is no electron inside it? So we'll discuss that later on, guys. But make a note somewhere that electron is emitted only from the nucleus, because only a nucleus takes part in all these reactions, that is in the radioactivity. Okay, and what are gamma radiations? You've little bit studied about it in the spectrum chapter, that they are basically electromagnetic waves, just like you had UV rays and X rays and all of them. Okay, now guys, to discuss more about it, I'll just present you one table which is given in your textbook also. Okay, I'll just present out here. So guys, here is the paper. I'll just try to enlarge it as much as possible. Yeah. So this table is very important, guys, extremely important. Basically, whole thing is summarized over here. So if you check in your textbook, they have given some 3-4 pages about all these properties and all. So if you just by heart, even if you by heart only this table, then also it's kind of enough only. Okay, let's see now. So what do you mean by, first of all, what is an alpha particle? So alpha particle is what? It's a stream of positively charged particles, helium, that is a helium nucleus. Okay, so when a helium nucleus nuclei are continuously given out, then it is called as a alpha radiation. What is beta particle now? So stream of negatively charged particles, that is what? Electrons, is called as beta particles. Then gamma radiations, these are just the electromagnetic radiations, but they are highly energetic, and that's why they can give out a large amount of energy. Okay, they can cause immense damage. Now second thing is about the speed. So which color travels the fastest? So as we know, gamma radiations travel at the speed of light, so it is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second in vacuum. Whereas beta, they travel at a speed of how much? Only 90%. What is 90% of 3? 2.7 into 10 raised to 8. That's the speed of beta particle. So you can say it's slightly slower than the gamma radiation. And what about alpha particles? They travel at nearly 10 raised to 7. So much slower as compared to beta and gamma, like 1/10 of their speed almost. Sorry, they are slower by 1/10. Yeah. Then the rest mass. Guys, now what do you mean by rest mass? Rest mass means what, if you remember, you had learned in the 9th standard theory of relativity that when a body is traveling very close to the speed of light, then its mass starts increasing, it does not remain constant. So rest mass means what, these are the mass of these particles when they are at rest, because when they are at a very high speed, it is you cannot speak about those masses because they keep on changing. So that's what they mean by rest mass. So what is rest mass over here? 4 times the mass of proton. I hope you got the logic why 4 times the mass of protons, because there are 2 protons and 2 neutrons out here, that's why. Okay, I'll just repeat once again. I'll write down over here that this has got 2 protons and 2 neutrons. Then next one, the beta particle is basically an electron, so it will be equal to what? Mass of an electron simply. And gamma radiation has no mass. Why it has got no mass? Because it is just a radiation in the form of photons. Then about the charge, guys. Now what can we say about the charge? So this is obviously positive charge, but you can say it is 2 times of a proton because it is 2 protons. Negative charge, just 1 electron. So we can say this is plus 2e, this is minus e, and again no charge. Then next one is the specific charge. Specific charge means what, charge per unit mass. Okay, so you need to know though, but not very important. There is no other application other than just learning this value. So it's better to learn the values. They may ask you, though they have not asked so far till now ever. So specific charges are 4.79 to 10 raised to 7 and this is 1.76. Then the wavelength, alpha and beta will not have a wavelength because those are particles, whereas this is a radiation. So look at its wavelength, the range of the wavelength. The next thing is the effect of electric and magnetic field. So which particle will get affected in an electric field? Say you leave a alpha particle. Say for example, I'll just explain out here, guys. Look. So here you have a one plate over here, which is say positively charged. There is another plate here which is negatively charged, and from here we have left an electron. You have released an electron. So when you release an electron from here, how will this electron move? Okay, so when you release an electron, that electron is negatively charged, so it has to move where? Towards the positive plate. Okay, I'll just draw this once again. So the electron from here will go towards the positive plate because it is negatively charged. And how will a proton move? So a proton will move towards the negative plate because it is positively charged. So that's a alpha particle. So remember, alpha will go towards the negative plate, whereas beta or an electron will go towards the positive plate. So they will get deflected in electric field. Okay, and if they get deflected in electric field, they will also get deflected in the magnetic field. So you notice here this gets less deflected. Okay, so effect of in electric and magnetic field, this gets less deflected, this gets more deflected. Okay, now why does beta get more deflected as compared to that of alpha? So you can see that beta has turned faster as compared to the alpha. Alpha took some more time and then it started turning. So why does it happen? So because basically beta has got lesser mass, so it is having lesser momentum and hence it is easier to deviate it. Got it? Then what about the gamma radiations? They stay unaffected. Why are they unaffected? Because they are not charged only. So same way they get deflected in the electric and the magnetic. So they both will get deflected in electric and magnetic field, that is alpha and beta. Next is the ionizing power, guys. So okay, now what do you mean by ionizing power? So ionizing power means what? Like for example, alpha is what? Double positively charged. So what can this alpha particle do? It can pull out an electron from another atom. So I'll just remove all this first, erase this. So guys, alpha particle, it's positively charged. So what can an alpha particle do now? It can remove, okay, say there is some another atom out here. I've just drawn just some electrons out here, and you have an alpha particle. So it can pull out an electron. On colliding with it, it may just pull out that electron from there. So that is what an alpha particle can do. So that's called ionizing. It will create ions basically. And what does a beta particle do? So what beta particle will do, if there is another nucleus out here, it will just self-invite itself to the other atoms, correct? And it will change its charge, that atom's charge. Got it? So this is what alpha and beta particles can do. They basically cause what? They create an ionizing, they basically create ionization. So this is called the ionization power. And obviously, as we notice, who's got more ionization potential or who's got more ionizing power? So it's the alpha particle who's got more ionizing power. Now look at the ionizing power also. You will need to learn that also, that this is 10,000 times of gamma. This is 100 times of gamma. And gamma has got the least ionizing power. Okay, as it is not charged only at all. Now, next thing is about the penetrating power. So as we know that gamma radiations have got what? They have got the maximum penetrating power. It has got a very large penetrating power, a few hundred meters in air. Okay, beta has got lesser penetrating power. It's just a few meters in air. And alpha has got very, very less penetrating power. So its penetrating power is very small. You can say it's just a few centimeter in air, 3 to 8 centimeter in air. Okay. So it's easy to stop alpha particles, little more difficult to stop beta particle, very difficult to stop the gamma radiations. Then stopping substance. Now how do you stop them? So gamma radiations are about, you need 30 centimeter thick lead sheet or few meters thick of concrete. So you need concrete walls which are as thick as your probably your bedroom itself, or or thicker, like a few meters of concrete they are saying. So maybe 5, 10, 15 meters of concrete, then only they'll be able to stop this kind of radiations. Okay, so you need a thick concrete wall out here to be able to stop them, or 30 centimeter thick lead sheets. Then for beta it is relatively easier. You need 1 mm thick of lead or 5 mm of aluminium sheet. Okay, and how to stop alpha particle is the easiest. You can just make use of thin paper, or your normal human skin are also able to stop them. So remember, they may ask you that why we don't need to take any extra precautions so that alpha particle do not enter into your body through your skin, because it cannot penetrate through our human skin, or it cannot even penetrate through thin papers. That's why. Okay, now but remember, they are dangerous if you consume them. So if you consume them like through dust particles into your body while inhaling air, or through some food or something, then they are dangerous. Why? Because they have ionizing power, very high ionizing power. So this was about the stopping substance. Now the last thing is about the biological damage. These also probably you must be knowing already, that who causes the immense biological damage? That is the gamma radiations. They take your case really badly. Then lesser harmful are beta particles, and least are the alpha particle. Okay, so these are the ways, or how they can harm you, guys. Next thing now, so these are about the radiations. Now one more very very important thing that you need to know is what we are doing now. The next thing, that's about this, what happens actually when an alpha is emitted, or beta or a gamma is emitted. So guys, see, when an alpha is emitted, okay, look, when you emit an alpha particle, so see, say this is your alpha particle. I'll just present here. We'll first talk about only alpha particles or alpha emission. So whenever the alpha particle is emitted, see what happens now in alpha emission. Guys, understand this properly. This is the only part where there is application. Otherwise, rest all you have to mug up only. Like you saw that last table also, you have to just by heart that table, nothing. Okay. Now what happens in an alpha particle? So let's say you have an element X, okay, or there is a nucleus X basically. Atomic mass is A, atomic number is Z. Now whenever an alpha particle is given out, what is an alpha particle? As I told you, it is basically what? The nucleus of an helium atom. So its atomic mass is 4 and number is 2. So you realize that you had an atomic mass A. From that, how much has been extracted from there? 4. So what will happen to your atomic mass? Will it increase or decrease? It has to obviously decrease, right? Because you already like removed 4 from it. So what will be the new atomic mass? So that will be what, first of all, okay, so I'll write A minus 4. What? And also you can see there are 2 protons here. So how many protons you have extracted from that? 2 protons. It means this will be short of 2 protons here. So Z minus 2. And because the atomic number, look here, because the atomic number does not remain same anymore, you notice that I have named it was X earlier, but now I have named it as what? Y. So it's another element. So what has happened in an alpha particle? In an alpha particle, whenever an alpha particle is emitted, atomic mass will reduce by 4. Atomic number will decrease by 2. Clear? Next thing now, let's say out here now, for example, I'll give you another example. Say for example, we have got here 20 protons and 20 neutrons. So what is the atomic mass? 40. What is the atomic number? 20. Out of this, it is giving out 2 protons and 2 neutrons. it means its atomic mass is what? 4 and atomic number is what? 2. And here it is giving out, okay, how many are left here now? 18 protons are left and 18 neutrons are left. So what is your atomic mass over here now? 36. What is your atomic number now? 18. Now guys, you can cross check. Now you check the atomic mass is what? 4 plus 36. How much is 4 plus 36? 40. So look at this total, it will be 40. Again add up atomic number 18 and 2. What is 18 plus 2? 20. So you get atomic number 20. Okay. So this is all about a alpha particle. Now there is another example which is given in your textbook, that if you have a uranium nucleus, so its atomic mass is 238, atomic number is 92. What does it become now? It becomes thorium out here by giving out an alpha particle. So alpha particle helium, then this is 4 and 2. Okay guys, those who are getting confused, I'll again repeat for them. You have to just apply simple math. 238 minus 4, what is that number? 234. Just look, you have to balance your left hand side and the right hand side, that's all. Same way, what will you do here? So it will be 92 minus 2, so that is how much? 90. That's how you get this equation. Okay, so it's very important. I'll repeat once again. What you have to state over here, that whenever an alpha particle is emitted, okay, its atomic mass will decrease by 4 and the atomic number will decrease by 2. Okay, write down guys this statement, pause the video, write it in your notebook. Guys, keep making these notes when I'm explaining you all this. You'll remember half the chapter like that only. Okay, now we'll go to the next one, that is a beta emission now. Okay, so guys, see what happens in a beta emission now. So beta emission, first of all, what is the symbol for beta? So it's written as a cursive B, you can say. Okay, now in a beta emission, how does a beta come from? From where does it come first of all? So let's say you have a nucleus X out here, atomic mass A, atomic number Z. There is a beta emitted, means what is emitted out here? There is an electron. So first see, is there any change in its atomic mass? No, right? Because it is what out here? 0. So 0 plus what will give you A? It will be what? A only. Then minus 1 plus what will give you Z? So what would that be? Z plus 1. Guys, take a minute, think about it, how I balance this equation. I'll explain you how it happens, I'll explain you that, but first understand what happened in the equation. So if you had a parent nucleus, it's called as a parent nucleus X and Y is called as a daughter. So X is A, Z. So when this beta was emitted, basically the atomic mass remains unchanged, but the atomic number will increase by 1. Okay. Now, so now how does this happen? So again, we'll consider the same example now. So out here, let's say you had a 20 protons and 20 neutrons. So atomic mass was how much? 40. Atomic number was what? 20. Now what happens out here is that out of these 20 protons are as it is, and there are only 19 neutrons out here. Now what happens to one of these neutron? It splits itself. See, listen to me carefully now. A neutron splits itself, it breaks itself into 2 parts. What are those 2 parts now? One is a proton and the other one is an electron. So this electron is kicked out, whereas this proton is held back within the nucleus. So now what is your atomic mass? So it is 21 protons and 19 neutrons, so it became 40. What is your atomic number? It will be 21. So have you noticed your atomic mass is remaining the same, but look at the configuration of atomic mass in both the cases, it's not the same yet. Correct? What was the atomic mass earlier? 40. What was the new atomic mass? Still 40, but number of neutrons and protons have changed. And if you see, the number of the atomic number has also changed. It was 20 and now it is what? 21. Okay. So this is about the beta emission. So there's one more equation, like they've explained, like say there's a neutron. So atomic mass is 1, number is 0. What will happen now? This neutron will split into what? A proton and electron. So proton will be what? 1, 1. Electron will be what? Minus 1 and 0. Again to balance it. Got it? Now, what is the difference between the beta particle and beta rays? So beta particles means what? Like when we talk about one particular particle, or those particles, I mean like some odd number of particles, then you say beta particles. But when you're getting continuously a stream of beta particles, then we call it as what? Beta rays. Okay. So same way a stream of alpha particle is called as alpha rays. Remember. Now, okay. So guys, I'll also have you notice that over here X and Y. Okay, if you notice X and Y, what are they? Isotopes or isobars? So they are isotopes because they have same atomic. No. They are isobars. Yeah, there is A in that, and A is the same out here. Correct. Okay. Now, guys, the next one. Okay, I'll just write one more example out here. First, you can try yourself balancing it. So, say for example, here you have got carbon. So it's C14 and it is C14 and 6. It will give out a beta particle electron. So what will this become now? It will become what? Nitrogen. What will this become? 7, and this will remain the same, 14. So they may ask you to write these standard examples. So you need to know these examples by heart. Now guys, the last one is the gamma radiation. Now, what is a gamma radiation? So, or a gamma emission. So, in gamma radiation or the gamma emission out here, basically, what happens is now that there is going to be no loss in the mass, or there is no change in the atomic number. There is no change in the atomic number, guys, remember. So, what happens over here is, say for example, you have a nucleus X, atomic mass A, number Z. Now, here this atomic mass, it is a star. Star means what? It is in an excited state. Okay, it is in an excited state. And that excited state, because why does it have an excited state? Because of it has got excess amount of energy, meaning more energy than what it can handle. So what happens is that this energy, this excess energy is given out in the form of gamma radiations. And notice over here that your atomic mass number and atomic number do not change. It is just losing this energy. That's all, guys. Is it clear? I'll repeat once again. In a gamma radiation, basically the nucleus is unstable, so it is having extra energy in itself. That extra energy is given out in the form of gamma radiations or energy, and the atomic mass and the atomic number of the nucleus will remain the same. Okay, so there is no change in the number of neutrons, protons, nothing. They all remain the same only. Okay, so you don't see any change in the mass number as well as atomic number. Now, so remember once again I'll just recap all three of them. In alpha particle, atomic mass will, guys, in alpha particle atomic mass, I think we'll do one thing. I'll do a tabular form out here. One sec, I'll just take a picture from the textbook. Okay, guys, I'll continue. I think I am not able to take that picture. I'll just write down out here only. So, So here you've got for gamma, then there is beta, and then alpha, and this is about the atomic mass and the atomic number. So the quantity is atomic number and atomic mass. This is called as alpha emission, beta emission, and gamma. So once again, what happens to the alpha particle? What happens to the atomic mass when alpha is emitted? It will decrease by 4. In beta, it will remain same. So there is not going to be any change. Whereas in gamma also there will be no change. So who's responsible for change in atomic mass? It's only alpha. Who's responsible for the change in the atomic number? So by alpha it will decrease by 2. In beta it increases by 1, and in gamma there will be no change. So remember, in gamma there will be no change in alpha, no change in the atomic mass or the atomic number. Okay, then so guys, this is all the part where there is application, and rest of the part what you have, that is all the theoretical part only. Let's like something like what you learned in the spectrum, learning the properties and uses and harmful effects, how to protect yourself from those harmful effects, what are the safety precautions you should consider, all those. So we'll discuss those in the next video. So that's enough for now.